that we don't fight for the hate of our enemy, but we fight for the love of our people. And one of my favorite quotes, Che Guevara, the true revolutionary is guided by a great feeling of love, y'all. So this is the Happy Warrior song.
I need you to clap with me, y'all. 3 beats. You got this. Give yourselves a big round of applause. We give thanks today for this opportunity. We give thanks today for this chance to be with each other, look around and see somebody say, I love you. Love you, brother. Love you. We give thanks for this day. We give thanks to the energy, the spirit of our ancestors, known by many names, sometimes known as Ola Damari, sometimes known as Aloja Nita, owner of the day, sometimes known as Jehovah, sometimes known as Allah, sometimes known as Yahweh, sometimes known as simply I am that I am. We come today in the spirit of our loved ones. Their bodies are gone, but their spirit is here with us. Ashe? We pour this libation today. We give honor to all of those people going as far back as Emmett Till, to those ancestors, those unnamed ancestors who were killed just for being who they were. We have thanks today, so we remember, we reflect, and renew on the energy of our loved ones. We remember, we won't forget what happened to these folks. Look at all these pictures. Look at all the energy that was taken away from us. So we're going to remember, and we're going to reflect on the things that we need to do to bring justice and accountability into the world. Ashe? So we pour this libation today for our Ohlone ancestors, our Miwok ancestors, our Yurok ancestors, the Choctaw, the Seminole, and all those other first world indigenous people. We say Ashe. We pour this libation today for our Mexican, Aztlan, Chicano, Mexican-American, Guatemalan, all up and down, Honduras, El Salvador, all the way to Brazil, to the tip of Peru. We say Ashe. We pour this libation today for our Asian-American brothers and sisters, for Yuri Kochiyama and that whole generation that fought and got down with us and showed solidarity. We reflect on that and we say Ashe. We pour this libation today for those Africans who had families and culture and civilization before Europeans got there. Those ancestors who were on the bottom of those ships. Those ancestors who were kept in forced labor camps. They put a pretty word on it, George. They call it plantations. We call it forced labor camp. And I didn't have no ancestors that were slaves. My ancestors were enslaved Africans. A slave is a thing. A slave can be sold. We didn't buy into that. Don't let anybody tell you that we was down for that. That we took it and we took it like with a smile. We did not. We burned down fields. We burned down houses. We got down like Nat Turner. I pour a libation for my European brothers and sisters who are like John Brown. Some John Brown ancestors. These folks are willing to get down with us. So today, we pour this libation for all of our communities. And I want you now to just call out all the names of your loved ones, all the names of your loved ones who are not with us physically today, but their energy is reflected in these photographs. Their energy is reflected in our hearts. Just call their names out. Call their names out. Call them out. Don't be shy, call them out. Call them out. And for all those ancestors whose names we may not remember, but they're in our hearts. They renew our energy for justice. They renew our energy for peace. They renew our energy for compassion. Because this system of white supremacy is falling, y'all. It's falling apart. And the question is, what will replace it? What will we put in instead? How will we educate our children? How will we house our people, clothe our people, feed our people? We give thanks for all of you today, and we say it 3 times to close it out. Ashe. 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 Give yourselves a round of applause. We love you.
Some noise for our brother Greg Hodge and brother George Galvin. Greetings, brothers and sisters. My name is Jasmine Delafosse. I come all the way from the beautiful village of Stockton, California. The land of the original peoples, of the Miwok and the Yupik people. And first of all, I'm extremely honored and humbled to be in the presence of you all and to be able to be here to honor Sean Monterrosa. Will you join me by saying his name? Say his name! Sean Monterrosa! Say his name! Say his name! My name is Jasmine Delafosse. As I mentioned, I'm the senior regional organizer with the Gathering for Justice, a national organization founded by Mr. Harry Belafonte and led by our own CEO and president, Carmen Perez Jordan, who will be introducing very shortly. I have the honor and privilege to introduce, as we mentioned, we all come from many walks and many faiths. But one of the things that keeps us here all together is that we have the power of a spirit. The spirit of love, the spirit of prayer, the spirit of God, that we all walk and call to. And I'm honored to introduce this next brother and pastor of mine, Pastor Curtis Smith, and Pastor Kristen Smith, who will open us up in a prayer. They come all the way from Stockton as well. They're a family-based he's a family-based faith-based community organizer, working over the last 20 years, building the power of clergy and folks to make sure that they stand up for justice, that they rise up and speak to their congregations and people of all walks and denominations to stand and fight with families like everyone here today. And so I'm going to call up Pastor Curtis Smith and Kristen Smith.
Good afternoon, my brothers and sisters. It's good to be here with our family today on this occasion. Before we start prayer, I'm going to pray, and then my wife is going to pray, and that's fine. Y'all, as I came in today, I can't help but recognize and acknowledge on the marquee across from us to my right and to your left is a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King that says, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." Amen. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. The quote also has a little bit more that they didn't, I guess, fit on the marquee. It says that we are caught in this inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. What affects one directly affects us all indirectly. So as we stand here for the family of Sean Monterrosa today, is also acknowledging our other families that are here from all over the country who have lost their loved ones, is that we are a family who's affected all together. We stand here together. One people, one fight. One people, one fight. This is Pastor Curtis Smith from Pastor Destiny Christian Center of Stockton, California. And as I was getting ready here, preparing and just praying about being in this space, I don't take it lightly because I know that this is a sacred ground today. I don't know about many other days, but today we're going to call this is our sacred ground today in honor of our loved ones who have been taken from us by this unjust system of policing, the slave patrol that was basically formed in order to catch slaves and bring them back to their masters. Well, no longer are we accepting the history nor what lies in the, I should say, in the breadth and the depth of what they were created to be. We don't want them extracting another one of our family members. Look around you and see too many, too much, too far. We are definitely, as he mentioned earlier, this white supremacy is crumbling down. But I want to tell you, with one of the ancestors that marched with Dr. Luther King, when I met him in Alabama, he told me this, and this is what I think about his quote when I think about what has just happened with George Floyd and basically the criminalization, I should say the prosecution and the conviction of the officers. He told me, don't let progress fool you. Don't let progress fool you. We want justice. We want it all. Not just for one, but for every single one of our family members. Every single one of our family members. So we won't stop. Yes, we'll say we applaud that effort, but it's long overdue. And we're not going to stop till everyone, all of our families right here, get what they want and what they're calling justice for their family members. Again, as we honor today, the family of Sean Monterrosa, is that it's called Toucan Weekend, right? And so with that, I was looking that up because I come from a generation that understands, or remembers, I should say, the symbolism of the Toucan Sam. You guys remember that commercial? Those who are old enough like me, remember Toucan Sam? And this Toucan Sam, he had this uncanny ability to detect with his long nose. He could smell Fruit Loops that were miles and miles away, and it would lead him to a bowl of cereal that was concealed and could not be found. But he would say this, follow your nose. Well, I come here today, if I can just take 1 second, I come here today to honor that memory of Sean Monterrosa, the Toucan Weekend. And in that symbolism is that with that uncanny ability that he had to uncover, to smell Fruit Loops, I want to say we come here because we smell tricks. We may not smell Fruit Loops, but we smell tricks. And now we come to uncover the tricks that have been hidden in the system of policing for years and years and years. And his nose, he said, follow your nose. Well, I'm not going to talk about this physical nose. I'm going to talk about what we know. What we know. Follow your nose. Follow your knowledge. Follow the facts. You may present them and you may conclude that there is no facts that conclude, basically what you're saying, but we know the truth. And we come here to continue to uncover the truth. And we're going to get justice, right? No justice? No justice? All right. In the honor of his memory, we pray today, and I'm going to pray my Christian faith. Let us pray. Father God, Heavenly Father, we come to you this afternoon in this plaza, and we come to say thank you. Yes, we thank you for all your mercy, your grace upon these family members. We thank you, Lord God, for the judgment that you will bring to us. We thank you for the justice that will take place. And we speak an abundant blessing over the Monterrosa family today and all of the families who are gathering here today. We pray for their hearts, Lord God. We pray for their minds. We pray for peace that surpasses all understanding. We ask that you continue to give them a sense of joy in the midst of their sorrow and comfort them in the midst of their pain. When everybody is gone away and there's no one around comforting, Lord God, you be the comfort. You be the arms that wrap around them in the middle of the night when tears are flowing from their eyes. Lord God, today we lift up the memory of Sean Monterrosa. We remember all of the lives that were taken away from us in the physical. But Lord, we will never allow the enemy to dismiss their purpose. Yes, their names shall live on. Yes, their names shall give purpose. We shall put purpose out of the pain. Give us all this day, Lord God, the daily bread we need to feed us, to be strong, to be courageous, to be bold enough to fight the good fight of faith, trusting and believing that justice will be not only for Sean, but justice will be for all. Now again, bless us this day. Every family that's participating, every group, bless the gathering for justice, Lord God. Every other organization that stands in collaboration and unity with these families, every attendee, every speaker, every performer, everyone holding the sign. And let every tear that falls today, let it be a tear that waters the ground, the blood, soil stains that was left on this soil, and let it bring forth plants. Let it bring forth plants of liberation. Let it bring forth plants of liberty. Let it bring forth plants of justice and boldness. And let us grow in our faith and in our fight. In the mighty name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
En memoria de Sean Monterrosa. Padre Dios, venimos aquí de esta tarde, la tarde para decir gracias. Te agradecemos por tu misericordia, tu gracia, tu juicio, tu justicia. Hablamos una bendición sobre la familia Monterrosa y todas las familias que se reúnen hoy aquí. Le pedimos, Señor, que sigue dándoles alegría en medio de su dolor y consuelo en medio de su dolor. Mientras levantamos la memoria de Sean, recordamos todos cuyas vidas fueron atrapadas de nosotros en lo físico. Pero no permitimos en el enemigo desentir su propósito, Señor. Danos todo ese día nuestro pan de cada día para ser audaces y valientes, para luchar contra la buena lucha de la fe. Confiar y creer que con tu fuerza conseguiremos justicia para Sean y justicia para todos. Ahora bendiga este día, Señor, la familia Monterrosa, Señor, cada familia participante, grupo, asistencia de habla, y tiene un signo, que cada desgarro te caiga sella y suficientemente fuerte para lavar las manchas suicidas de sangre que se dejaron en este suelo y dejar de regar las plantas que están creciendo en nuestra fe, en la nuestra lucha. En el poderoso nombre de Jesucristo, oro. Amén.
First, I just want to say thank you so much, Curtis and Kristen Smith. Muchísimas gracias, Kristen. My name is Luis Hernandez. I come to you all by way of Lenape land, otherwise known as New York City. I'm so glad to be here with you all today. My hope is that you all are lifted by the power in this space, the unity amongst one another. And like MLK in Birmingham, I'm here because injustice is here. I'm cognizant of the interrelatedness of all communities and states, but really what I'm here to do is introduce the MC of the program so that we can get this thing started and hear from all the incredible families. And so I have the pleasure and honor of introducing my leader, my mentor, our boss, the woman who runs the behind the scenes and who does it all for so many families across the country. And so when I welcome and introduce Carmen Perez Jordan. Carmen is a Chicana feminist. She has worked on issues of civil rights, mass incarceration, women's rights, gender equity, violence prevention, racial healing, community policing, and so much more. Carmen has led the gathering under the leadership of Harry Belafonte and has for years advanced our movement. And so thank you so much for all the families and for all of those who showed out today and supported the Sisters of Sean Monterrosa. As I said, Carmen is my femtor. She's also the femtor of the Monterrosa Sisters. Carmen is one to take young people under her wing and ensure that we have the resources that we need to thrive, the leadership capacity to be able to show up and organize in spaces like these. And so, welcome, Carmen.
Good afternoon, family. You know, one of the titles that I really love is not just being a femtor, but also being the mother of two beautiful mixed boys that are Black, Mexican, and Indigenous. Today, I'm in solidarity with the Monterrosa family and all the families here fighting for justice for their loved ones. I am here because I believe our solidarity is radical, transformational, and necessary as the media tries to paint a different picture of division. I am here to say that police violence is also a Latino issue. We must begin to resist alongside our Black siblings. It's important we understand that not only are the police killings of Latinos a serious and pervasive problem today, it's a continuation of U.S. history. State-sanctioned violence against Latinos began almost 200 years ago when this land known as California was seized from Mexico along Nevada, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. Across the Southwest in California, violence was used to terrorize and murder Chicanos of indigenous and mestizo descent without reprisal from the white community. Between 1848 and 1928, at least 600 Mexicans were lynched by mobs of white colonizers. 200 of those lynchings took place right here in the state of California. In 4 years between 1915 and 1919, hundreds of acts of violence and murder were perpetuated by the Texas Rangers, including lynchings, shootings, and burnings of entire towns to the ground. In 1960, we saw the Chicano movement infiltrated by police, and some of our leaders were shot and killed by police officers. The state-sanctioned violence against Latinos has not stopped. The same week that Sean Monterrosa was killed in 2020, 2 other Latino men were gunned down by police. Today is the anniversary of the killing of Eric Salgado, who was killed by the CHP. 18-year-old Andres Gallardo was working as a security guard when sheriffs chased him down, shooting him in the back and killing him.
And a couple months ago, we all learned of the brutal killing of Adam Toledo in Chicago, a 13-year-old child who had his hands up, raised above his head. We know that police violence disproportionately affects our Black siblings, but it's time we understand that this same violence is also disproportionately affecting us, Latinos. And together, it is up to us to unite in order to stop it. Together, we can advocate for policy changes like the passage of SB 2, which would give the state of California the power to decertify these officers who commit violence. Together, we could call for a committee made up of impacted families to advise the Attorney General's office regarding police brutality. Those that are directly impacted by the problems are closest to the solutions. So let's stop pretending as though people know what they're talking about when they've never been impacted. The power to change lives and laws is really in our solidarity and united action. So on behalf of the Gathering for Justice, I thank you all for being here today, for taking action to help to get justice for Sean Monterrosa and all the victims of police violence. We won't stop until we get justice. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Thank you. That's how we're going to MC today. You feel that? It is truly an honor and a pleasure to introduce the next family. Right after the killing of Sean Monterrosa, my heart stopped. I couldn't imagine what their family went through. But not seeing any attention on our communities as it pertained to this issue, I reached out to the Monterrosa sisters and I said to them, I want to wrap my arms around you. I want to give you the access that I have. I'm not here to be a gatekeeper. I'm not here to speak for you. I'm here to support you because you are the leaders. So I want to welcome, please put your hands together for a round of applause for the Monterrosa family. The reason we're all here.
Primeramente quiero agradecerles. Soy Laura Monterrosa, mamá de Sean, de Ashley y Michelle. Y mi esposo Nestalí, que está atrás apoyándonos. Quiero decirle a todos los que han sufrido la violencia en sus seres amados que no se rindan. Hay una palabra preciosa que dice que no para siempre reposará la vara de los impíos sobre los justos. Y los justos cuando se levantan proclaman justicia, victoria y luz. Les amo. Un abrazo grande, un abrazo lleno de consuelo, de misericordia y de justicia para cada uno de los que hemos perdido a nuestros seres amados.
My name is Michelle Monterrosa, and I am the surviving sister of my brother Sean Monterrosa. Thank you all for being here today. Your solidarity and support means so much to us. By now, many of you know the story of what happened to our brother. Sean Monterrosa was killed by the Vallejo Police Department on June 2nd of 2020. He was kneeling with his hands in the air in a parking lot. The Vallejo police officer, Jarrett Tonn, fired 5 shots from a backseat of a moving, unmarked police vehicle and killed him. This is the equivalent of a drive-by shooting. There's no way Officer Tonn could feel under any threat from the backseat of a moving police vehicle. As we mark the somber one-year anniversary, it's important to us that you guys know who Sean was as a person. Sean was a loving son, a middle brother, and was dedicated to making a difference in this world. He was a reader and an athlete, and a young man who was dealing Latinx community and all our communities and unifying us together. Sean's very last text message to us was to sign a petition to demand justice for George Floyd. From the beginning, we've been treated with disrespect by the Vallejo Police Department. Immediately after his death, we were not able to locate Sean or get any information out of the Vallejo Police Department. After going to hospital, searching for him, we contacted the coroner's office, and that's how we found out Sean was deceased. We were told that the Vallejo Police Department was waiting to tell us when they told the world at a press conference the next day. Elaine, the chief, Shawnee Williams, then later changed the story after the Vallejo Police Union claimed that Sean was crouching in a tactical position, which made no sense because he had no gun. The head of the VPOA ordered the windshield of the vehicle destroyed by an before an investigation could be done to see what the ballistics report was. What we've experienced is standard behavior in the Vallejo Police Department's culture of corruption. The department employs only 100 officers who kill more than per capita, and about only more, there's 2 other cities in California, but Vallejo is one of the highest. In 2012, 30% of the homicides in Vallejo were actual police killings. The officer who shot Sean, Detective Jarrett Tonn, had been involved in 4 other shootings in 5 years. In the body cam footage after Sean was killed, a captain can be heard telling Jarrett Tonn, "Yo, girl, you're gonna be all right. You've been through this before." We've also seen media reports that police in Vallejo bend their badges to signify that they've killed someone. In the past years, Vallejo has paid nearly $16 million in legal settlements involving the police, many thousands of dollars more per officer than America's largest police departments. According to reporting by the New Yorker, Vallejo is currently facing at least 24 use of force cases, which it estimates could cost $50 million. DA Krishna Abrams, who recused herself, has not prosecuted any of the police officers involved in violent misconduct over recent years. Last year, she had a Blue Lives Matter image on her Facebook page until a civil rights attorney pointed it out. Former Attorney General Javier Becerra said the AG's office would conduct an investigation on the destruction of evidence, but he instructed DA Abrams to investigate. No action was taken to launch an investigation for 11 months until newly appointed Rob Bonta. We have made deep sacrifices to get to this point. For almost a year, our family has fought constantly to keep Sean's name in the press, to keep fighting for justice, and despite our grief, exhaustion, and pain. Last fall, we were arrested with 17 other protesters outside of Governor Gavin Newsom's home during a nonviolent civil disobedience for Sean after being met with silence and inaction for months. We endured retaliation from the California Highway Patrol during the time that we were held in jail. The announcement that an investigation will take place is just a first step, but we are relieved that action will finally be taken. We are encouraged by the fact that this will be done by Attorney General Rob Bonta and the Department of Justice directly. It feels incredibly meaningful to finally receive the respect our family and Sean deserved for the past nearly 12 months, 1 year now. We recognize that other families have suffered from similar injustice as ours, and so we also hope the Attorney General's office will establish new protocols for investigating all police-involved shootings in California. Ultimately, we want justice for Sean, and we want that justice to mean that this can't happen to anyone anywhere else. And best believe, we're pushing to be the last family affected by the Vallejo Police Department. Only a handful of officers in the state of California have ever been charged for killing a civilian, and only 1 officer in the state has ever been convicted. There are hundreds of families like ours whose loved ones unjustly were taken and whose pleas for accountability went unanswered. We hope that our struggle and sacrifice will ultimately build a bridge between impacted families and legislators and elected officials who have the power to change, like passing SB 2, which would create a mechanism for decertifying officers who are unfit to wear a badge. This is crucial because officers who are fired from one police department often end up working for another department somewhere else. Police are the only licensed profession who currently cannot be decertified for unethical and harmful actions. Virtually everyone else, from barbers to lawyers, will lose their license if they violate the trust placed by them in the state. Simply put, the police are not able to police themselves, and that's why it's crucial that California Senate pass SB 2 this year. The time has come for California to step up and finally stand with the survivors of police violence. Thank you all.
I say thank you for everybody for joining us to Justice for Sean and the resident families for the Bay Area. And we have another family from Wisconsin. Justice for everybody here. And thank you so much. God bless you.
Say his name.
Sean Monterrosa.
Say his name.
Sean Monterrosa.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
We want to introduce Lee Merritt, commonly known as the People's Lawyer, who's an emerging as an influential new voice for the fight for social justice, a civil rights activist and attorney. Merritt runs and founded a Merritt of high-profile practice, the Merritt Law Firm, focusing on victims of police brutality, hate crimes, and corporate discrimination. As an activist, he has championed police reform and community empowerment. I am proud to say that he is taking on the case for Sean Monterrosa. Let's give it up for Lee Merritt.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
I want you all to practice saying something that we've come to say and organizing in the community across the country. It's a simple statement. It says, we do not consent. Can you all say that with me? We do not consent. We do not consent. I was speaking with two of my spiritual advisors, a 6-year-old Elaine and Laura over here. And they said, there's a lot of pictures over there. Those represent dead people. It's kind of creepy. And I had to agree with them. And then little Elaine said, yeah, but there's a lot more people alive still. And I said, you know what? You're right. We could focus on what we've lost, but it's more important, I think, to focus on the spiritual power that they represent and the power that they give us. And they give us the power to stand up and say something simple, which is, we do not consent to American policing. We don't consent to militarized policing that takes the lives of so many people on a regular basis. In fact, what is clearly the deadliest police culture in the modern world, we don't consent to that. And I'm encouraged by something. Again, speaking to these two 6-year-olds, the world that they grew up in is going to be different from the world that you and I grew up in, because you all decided to stand up and fight today. I can think I'm based out of North Texas, which is a place that is known for backing the blue-friendly culture. And when I moved to Dallas County, they hadn't convicted a police officer for the murder of a black man in their history. They hadn't convicted a police officer of any crime in 50 years. But the people of Dallas began to pay attention. They began to stand up when 15-year-old Jordan Edwards was killed by a police officer in Balch Springs, Texas. The people decided that they did not consent. The prosecutor was still a conservative Republican, a Trump appointee. The city was still Texas. I mean, he's still located in one of the more conservative districts in the world. But the police officer, Roy Oliver, who was responsible for murdering 15-year-old Jordan Edwards, he went to jail serving a 15-year plus life sentence for the first time in the history of Dallas, Texas. You know why? People stood up and said, we don't consent. When I first heard about the murder of Ahmaud Arbery, his mom called me, Wanda Cooper. She gave me a call in my office in Dallas, and she described to me how her son had been gunned down in the street and that a false story was provided that he was robbing homes or something. And it had gone for months, and no one had paid any attention to it. And the people of Glenn County, of South Georgia, and eventually people of all across the country and across the United States said, you know what? We don't consent to this. This is not going to work for us. And the people stood up. And today, all three of the men responsible for his murder have been charged with murder both at a state level and at a federal level. The prosecutors who are responsible for the cover-up are all under federal investigation, and we look forward to indictments in that case. The laws in Georgia's changed so that there's a new hate crime law in Georgia, and that the vigilante law from the civil rights era was removed from the books. In other words, when we stand up as a people and say we don't consent, we change things. And so little Elaine and Lord, they don't have to grow up in the same society that we grew up in, because we get to fight. So I'm not going to waste your time telling you all a lot of words. I know right now that there is power right here. Right now, more than any movement I've ever been a part of, there's more people here centered on fighting for Sean Monterrosa than I've seen people at the start of a fight, or a year later. More importantly, the family of Ronald Green has been fighting for 2 years for justice in this case. And it was when a community like this organized and stood up that you all suddenly knew that Ronald Green was beat to death, and he didn't die in a traffic accident in Louisiana. And that the officers responsible for him, we know their names: Corey York, James Clary, Dakota DeMoss. Those officers are going to go to jail for murder because we do not consent. Say it with me. We do not consent. We do not consent. We do not consent to the murder of Sean Monterrosa. We do not consent to the murder of Sean Taylor. We do not consent to the murder of Jamel Roberson. We do not consent to the murder of Tatiana Jefferson. We do not consent to this system of policing, and so we're going to burn it the hell down. Let's get started.
Thank you to those powerful words from our brother Lee Merritt. It is an honor to introduce the next speaker. Nane Alejandres is the executive director and founder of the California Coalition of Barrios Unidos, which began as a community-based peace movement in the violent streets of urban California. Over the past 40 years, Barrios Unidos has developed a model that seeks to reclaim and restore the lives of struggling youth while promoting unity amongst families and neighbors through the community building efforts. He also has worked in the Valley of the Beast. He's worked in prisons across the state of California and has traveled abroad to Venezuela, as well as one of my mentors in the struggle. And he's going to be bringing along another spiritual leader, Tony Gonzalez, who is the leader from the American Indian movement. Let's welcome them.
Oh, greetings, relatives. It's an honor for me to stand with Carmen, and my mentor, Tony Gonzalez, many years ago, took me under his wing and said, you have a voice. I had just come back from Vietnam, and he had been in Vietnam, and we didn't know what was going on. I came back with a drug addiction, just like many veterans, but he led me to the path of struggle through the American Indian movement. But I'm here to represent thousands of incarcerated relatives that today cannot be here because they're behind the walls. And if you have a relative, someone that you love, someone that you care about that's incarcerated, we must also stop that mass incarceration. So let's say a big cubole to all our relatives that are incarcerated. We cannot be here today. Working within the institutions is a struggle, because sometimes you want to say certain things, and you know that if you say that, they're not going to allow you back in to see their relatives. So we have to find ways of organizing, find ways of how to be able to be there to hug them, to hold their hands, to when they get denied parole after a life sentence, that you're there, that you're that shoulder that they can lean on you. We say, keep going, brother. Do not give up. Do not give up, sister. We just had a life after life event in Santa Cruz where we had over 1,000 years of prison time of lifers, men and women. Some went in when they were youngsters, 16, 17 years old, coming out in their 50s and 60s. And many of those have suffered police abuse. And I want to bring up my relative, Anthony Garcia, that was killed by the Fresno Police Department back in the late 70s. And because of this man right here next to me, I was able to take his case and 4 cases from Fresno, California, that the police had killed to the United Nations and represented to Amnesty International and many international communities. And I think that's what we need to do, is to bring it to the international level. And a gateway is to my brother right here, and the American Indian movement that led us and gave us a voice inside the United Nations. We must keep fighting. For over 40 years, 40-something years, Barrios Unidos, since 1977, we've been fighting. And it took a long time, and we still haven't gotten justice for Anthony Garcia. The officer that killed him I never forgot his name. His name is Police Officer Moore. And he continued with his life. But when I see Anthony's mother, Nellie, and the suffering that she's gone through this day, she has not forgotten that. So all the relatives that have lost, we're with you. And before I want my brother Tony say a few words, because all the young people that are starting to organize today, brace yourself. Take care of yourself, spiritually, health-wise, so that you can last 40-something, 50 years organizing. So it's going to take a lot. Thank you. We lost a great spiritual leader from the American Indian movement, Chief Little Crow Dog, last night. He was one of our elders, our chiefs, that passed away in South Dakota. So I want Tony to say just a few words of our elder, the American Indian movement.
Thank you. Greetings, my relatives. My name is Tony Gonzalez. Leonard Crow Dog, Chief Leonard Crow Dog, Sundancer. He was the first spiritual man, Lakota, spiritual man to go into Wounded Knee, 1973, and provide the spiritual guidance to American Indian movement back at that time, and many other campaigns. So we have much to be thankful for his courage and his leadership and the spiritual direction that he guided the American Indian movement. To remind you, American Indian movement began unofficially 1492. And in 1968, in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, 1968, American Indian movement people first time got together, and it was to address police violence and the killings and the deaths that still go on today. So it's the same struggle. Many of us still grieve for the loss of our relations, our relatives, the little ones. We're also hearing in this recent week the bodies of young children that were found in a residential school in Canada, in Kamloops, British Columbia. But all these bodies of these children are all across Canada, wherever residential schools were, wherever boarding schools were, and the same here in the United States. All the boarding schools and children that never came home. And Sean Monterrosa will never come home. But we are here to make sure that he knows when the light is to his home. So onward, justice, backward never. Aho!
All my relations, thank you.
Thank you to our elders that gifted us with some knowledge. We're going to be introducing Teresa, who is an award-winning poet, teaching artist, mental health educator, community leader, born and rooted in the Bay Area. Her presence in the poetry world as a queer Samoan woman and activist has granted her opportunities to perform and speak in places ranging from the White House to the United Conference of Climate Change in Paris, France. She's even received President Obama's Champion of Change Award in 2012 for her activism as a spoken word poet, organizer in her Pacific Islander community. Welcome, Teresa.
Check, check, check. What's good, family? Talafalava. Welcome to the Bay for all those who traveled near and far. As a daughter of immigrant parents from the island of Samoa, who was born, rooted, and raised here in Frisco, it's an honor and a privilege to stand alongside so many families who've been impacted by police state violence. I offer you today this poem, also as a member of Gathering for Justice in Justice League, California, because I know that as a storyteller, art has always been the soul of our social movements. Art are our drums, it's our music, it's our dance, it's our poetry, it's our film, it's our photography. It's the soul of who we are, yeah? And so if you're here with me, let me hear you say love, 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 love. When I say power, y'all say power, power, power. When I say justice, y'all say justice, 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 justice. And I need y'all to keep that energy for every family member that touches this stage, yeah? Please, please keep that energy, yeah? Here we go. This piece, I actually grounded it in the words of our ancestor, James Baldwin. He said this back in 1962 about the duty of artists. He said, quote, "The poets, by which I mean all artists, are finally the only people who know the truth about us. This is a time when something awful is happening to a civilization, when it ceases to produce poets, and what is even more crucial, when it ceases in any way whatever to believe in the report that only the poets, that only the artists can make." The truth is that Sean was also an artist, a tagger, a skater, a bookworm, and an old soul. He had dreams that were still baking, waiting to rise to its possibility. Dreams that every brown first-generation kid has in the sweat of their parents' immigrant sacrifice to this unbearable country. Wise beyond his years, hustling since the age of 12, selling bacon-wrapped hot dogs here in his city to help provide for his family, Sean was a budding carpenter with dreams of building his parents the home they always wanted. The truth is that when artists dream the way Sean did, they scare those in power because our dreams are freedom-bound. Our dreams have the audacity to tell the whole truth. Our dreams remember everything that was done to this land, to our people, to our culture, and our kin. Our dreams come with receipts that our ancestors left us with when our colonizers came for them. Our dreams come for systems the way systems come for us. And we outsmart them because we're smarter, y'all. More creative than them. More spirit-led, more protected and rooted in our liberation. Our dreams bring all of us into the new world we reach after this world crumbles, because this world is not our legacy. What happened to Sean is not how we end his story. What police terrorism does to so many of our families here today and across this country for generations is not how we go out. The truth is that loving, learning from, and organizing with Ashley and Michelle this past year taught me that what they are holding of Sean's loss will never be heavier for me than it is for them and their family. That I could never be more tired, more exhausted, or more enraged at state-sanctioned violence than every family on this stage. I fuel myself with whatever it takes for me to stay focused on the fact that if we are the village, then every child has always been our child. Every kin has always been our blood, meaning every death is ours to mourn too. Every act of violence to any of us targets each and every one of us. And I am more focused than I am tired. I am clear about the difference between rest, refuel, rise, and resist. I am more ready to work
than ready to give up, because the truth is that Malcolm was right. We are not outnumbered. We are out-organized. Everyone wants a revolution, but we need folks to also want to wash the dishes, take the meeting notes, send out the follow-up texts and emails, make the flyer, finish the political reading, learn our histories, and then learn each other's, teach the dance, make the music, watch the children, tend to our elders, set up the tables and pick up the trash, cook the food. We need folks in this movement, not in the way. We need folks finding their lane and bringing the homies with them. We need folks following the youth and seeking counsel from our elders. We need folks listening to Black women the first time and following the lead of Black and brown families on the road to liberation all of the time. We need folks ready to stay with us after the news stations move on, offline when it's not IG worthy. We need folks in complexity with each other and not just in community. We need folks standing at the front lines and in the gap, bridging our communities across what they say are divisions, but are just cracks in the armor of this empire who is banking on us to take each other out, who is banking on us to do their dirty work for them. But the truth is that our collective power frightens those who have everything to lose. We have nothing they can come for that they haven't been coming for centuries. And Michelle said there is no blueprint on how to grieve, how to dismantle this system, but we keep learning and pushing forward. Ashley said it's all gas, no brakes until we reach justice. So the truth is that now is the time to pull out all the stops and bring all our skills, strategies, visions, and talents to the table and get ready to work. Bring us your wildest dreams of justice, y'all. Bring us your bold takes on what it takes to get free. Bring us your sage. Bring us your sweet grass. Bring us your holy smoke. Bring the drums and bring your songs. Bring your favorite dish ready to share. And if you're in too much pain, if the trauma strapped you down before the sun could even hit the clouds, bring us your pain too. Bring us your grieving bones and the price you paid for all that you love. Bring us your gods and the gospel of your mother tongues. And please bring forth your mothers so we have a pulse on which way to freedom. Because the truth is that this is the honor and the duty of our lifetime to one another, y'all. To be the village it takes. Our collective power must be bigger than the war against it. Our belief in a better world than this one has to be louder than the non-believers. Our dreams of justice have to ignore those who say we will never get there, but that's because they don't see what we see. They don't see the horizon like we do. They don't hold hope in the belly of resilience the way our ancestors taught us how. The truth is that we see justice rooted in the new soil of a heaving world, anxiously waiting for us, whispering in our ears to bring all of us there ourselves.
Family, Oscar Grant's family, and Stephen Taylor's family. Come on, louder.
Thanks everyone that came out in this remembrance. To the Monterrosa family, I acknowledge myself. And I'm thankful that you guys are going slow for Sean. When attorneys are not going to stand up and fight for your baby, don't listen to what they're telling you. That attorney told me, even with a video, he couldn't win my baby's case. We also got to talk about, I was hearing some young folks talk about culture vultures. Culture vultures is the people that made their political climb at a city where they did nothing about their policing. Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, Ed Lee, and he's no longer here, he's on the feds investigation. When you have a city that's rampant and polluting and just disgust, they go out and they annihilate and they execute, because they executed my son Mario, and it's on the video. And there's no accountability. And let me say, Perez. It is who else? Luis Lamar. Derek Gaines. No officer has been held accountable. And if we keep voting because you black and you look like me, and I think you're gonna do it, you're gonna work it out for me, that's not it. You're not gonna be in my best interest. So because you look like me, don't mean you have my best interest. And I'm telling you, they don't have our best interest. From the Nancy Pelosi, who has a zip code in San Francisco and insulted us by putting a kente cloth on her like we don't have the sense when they did that to George Floyd. You can't be mute on this. There's people in San Francisco who don't even know how much blood this police force has shed. And let me tell you, it's nationwide. I think they actually call each other and tell each other nationwide, guess what? You got to get one under your belt. It's your turn. Because even after George Floyd, what happened? Becky, the blonde one, said she just like your baby. I thought it was my taser. No, you didn't. That's all intentional. We had to keep making them feel uncomfortable. I have a group. Thank you, F12. Thank you, Lionheart and Crypto. Thank you, my people. Thank you for walking up to Charles August and letting them know we're calling you out, Charles August. You're the house Negro because you led the cavalry. We can't let them be comfortable. Unless you feel there is a revolution coming, then maybe you're going to stand up and take notice because the pushback is going to be real. And if you keep playing with these mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers and cousins mentality at this blood loss, at the shed where we can Google our loved one and we can see the last image of them being slaughtered like an animal. And unless you can't tell me, I don't care what you have, white boys raping broad daylight, Brock Turner, Dylan Roof in the Bible study and annihilated. And he gets a courtesy of a Burger King burger and a bulletproof vest. And you get that white boy in Kenesha walking down the street with assault weapons on his back. But the cops didn't even stop him. Do you know why? He was going to do what they wanted him to do. Annihilate. He did their job that they itched to do. We can't be comfortable. We can't be polite about it. We can't keep marching about it. It's not working for us. It's not. And if we don't wake up, they may just literally have us on the field again. I want to thank you for acknowledging all that blood for San Francisco. And there's no accountability. We all should be just livid about that. Nobody, because you see that black and brown and poor folks aren't deemed to be to live. But again, white boys get courtesies. Our European looking boys, they get courtesies. I'm not going to which come. I just really wanted to support these beautiful people. The Monterrosa family. I'm glad you found your chutzpah. I wish I would have listened to the call when they said, not that lawyer, because what Tamir Rice's mother said is true. They tell us, don't be a radical mother, an angry mother. I was told that too. Again, thank you guys for coming out and supporting. Push justice for Sean Monterrosa. Where your justice is, I'll live vicariously through it for justice for my child. Until we see a system that's dismantled, it has to be dismantled. You can say Keto O'Neill because he's pressing the charge, but that was a rookie. I want to see you go into that buster that's been on the force for centuries. That's training folks to go out and kill black and brown and folk. Not the rookie. It's easy to get rid of when you ain't got no years on the force. We had a Charles Kempinski for the Bayview Police Station, my community, said he came to the Bayview to kill niggas, his words. But he graciously resigned out. You shouldn't be gracious. It was you and I on the job and that stuff was spewed. We're fired, gone, no pension, no nothing. That being said, we gotta get angry. I told my doctor, listen, I feel alive in my anger. I told San Francisco Police, depending on how depressed I'm gonna get and how drunk I'm gonna get and loaded, I could have the capacity to come at you. And they could take that any way they want to. Because you've taken everything from me. I'm gonna let the other families speak. Again, thank you for acknowledging the blood in San Francisco, on San Francisco's watch, and then their unhealthy police department. And if anybody knows about Kenneth Hardy, the guy that did shot Kenneth Hardy, they transferred him to Alameda. He went to Alameda to have what he called a consensual affair with a little boy. This is your police department. They consist of pedophile, rapists, and executioners. I don't call them a police department. I call them a terrorist group disguised as a police department. So let's make the narrative what it is. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Love
you. Hello, everyone. I am affectionately known to the community as Uncle Bobby X. I am the uncle of Oscar Grant. And I'm sure I'm talking to many of you who have heard of Oscar Grant, know the story, so I won't belabor on that. And for those who have seen the movie, I definitely want to thank you for supporting the movie and spending a day in Oscar's life. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, there was a community that embraced us, stood with us, cried with us, went back and forth to court with us, but most importantly, shouted out, I am Oscar Grant. Today, you're shouting out Sean Monterrosa. You're shouting out Stephen Taylor. You're shouting out Mario Wood. You're shouting out Stephon Clark. You're shouting out so many other names, and you can look at these faces. But I want you to know it's because of your embrace on our family that we were able to get, for the first time in California state history, an officer arrested, charged, convicted, and sent in jail. But as many of you heard my sister Gwen speak, listen, there is no horror comparable to watching your loved one be murdered on video. That horror is forever etched in your memory. Yes, it is. And perhaps we know it could have been prevented. The power of the police to use deadly force is one of the most significant responsibilities we can give any public official. That responsibility must be guided by common sense legislation that is about protecting human rights and saving human lives. Look at these faces. Feel them. This is just half of what's been killed since Oscar murder in the state of California. Since Oscar's murder, over 1,300 Californians has been killed by the police in this state. Now, if you don't believe what I'm saying, go to the Department of Justice, AB 71, where they collect the data on who's being killed in this state, and you will see it averages 150 to 175 every single year. Now, count that from 2009 to 2021, and what we have is over 1,300 Californians being killed. We're not talking about the nation, because the nation, as you know, is over 15,000. But in this state, what's critical at this point in this struggle is that all of you become involved in about changing this paradigm of the disrespect that our families have suffered behind the murder of these rogue police officers in this state, especially in the Bay Area. over 1/3 of them have been involved in more than one shooting. So let us remember why we're here. Let us remember that you all have a responsibility to stand today, because if you fail today, it will be the demise of your children and your grandchildren tomorrow. We've been called to speak on their behalf, and I hope you feel the emotion in me about how serious this is, because my nephew was murdered, and I'm still mad about it. That's right. And if you don't get mad, it's going to be a knock at your door, and it'll be one of your family members, and you'll be standing right here with us. So let us all rise up, let us all speak to this issue, and say his name, Sean Monterrosa! Sean Monterrosa! Sean Monterrosa!
My name is Addie Kitchen. I am the grandmother of Stephen Taylor, who was murdered by the San Leandro Police Department a year ago on April the 18th. He was murdered in Walmart. Took the officer 40 seconds to walk in and murder him. 40 seconds. That's how long it took for the officer to decide that he wanted to take his life. So I'm here because of the Monterrosa sisters. I'm very supportive. They've been supportive of me. Anytime I call them, they show up. And so I am here because they called me. And I told them, I'm coming. I came yesterday. I'm here today. And when I leave here, I'm going to support Eric Delgado's sister in the city of Oakland. We have to be together. We have to become one, because we are one big family. I might not know you, but I know your plight, because we're all in the same boat. And what irritates me more than anything is they act like the Bay Area doesn't exist. We hear about George Floyd, and thank God the officer was convicted, but that's a drop in the ocean. We hear about Breonna Taylor. We hear about all of these people, but they don't talk about us. The Bay Area is one of the cities that we need to make sure that everybody in this country knows that we're struggling to save our children. Over 600 pictures here. 600, and that's just some of them. That's not all of them. But I can guarantee you most of them are in the Bay Area. And that's a damn shame that we have that many people murdered in the Bay Area, but we don't get the coverage from the news people. The first time I had an interview with the news is after Stephen was murdered, we had a rally, and then news came out, and they wanted me to talk about Stephen. So I'm not talking to you about Stephen. I'm talking about you, because you disrespected us. You act like the city of San Leandro doesn't exist. You act like the Bay Area doesn't exist. We watch your stations. People in all the other countries don't watch your stations because it don't go there. So you ignore us. You sweep us under the carpet like we don't matter, and we do matter. And we need to let them know. If you're going to cover something, cover what's happening in our area. Open up your window and see what's happening in your backyard. We have people being murdered every day. My grandson's anniversary was April the 18th. On April the 19th, Mario Gonzalez was murdered in Alameda. Did we hear about it? Did they do a big story about it? But they'll tell us about Chauvin being convicted. We don't give a damn. That ain't got nothing to do with us. We're still waiting for officers to be convicted here in the state of California, in the Bay Area. Thank you, Ms. Clark, because of your fight for Assembly Bill 392. That's what got the officer charged for the murder of Stephen Taylor. But we're still fighting, because just because he was charged don't mean he's convicted. So we are continuing to fight for the conviction of Officer Jason Fletcher, who murdered my grandson in Walmart in San Leandro. So we're all in the same boat, and we all are working for the same thing, and we need to support each other. Anytime something is going on, we need to be there. We need to let the families know, hey, we're here because we need each other. And that's the only way we're going to get any changes, is that we have to fight together. Our voices have to be heard together. When you have a large group of people fighting for the same thing, that's how we get changes. One person can't do it. We all have our own organizations. Yes, we have Justice for Stephen Taylor, but we can't do it by ourselves. We need every family that has been affected by police violence to work together and let this politicians know, if you don't work with us and don't help us, we're the ones that voted you in. Guess what? We'll vote your ass out. So that's what we have to do to make sure that our voices are heard. So we're praying that they will pass Assembly Bill 2, Assembly Bill 118, which is for the Crisis Act, because a lot of our family members are being murdered in a health crisis situation. When you call for help, you get the police. Police don't give a damn about us. They come in with their guns drawn. Their guns are already out of the holster. That's what happened with my grandson. The police came in, he already had his gun out. He knew what he was going to do when he walked into Walmart. Once he figured he was black, kiss your behind goodbye, because your behind belonged to me. And that's how I feel. And yes, I'm angry. And I make sure that I am in every city council meeting in the city of San Leandro. I want them to know I haven't forgotten, and I'm not going to let you forget. I'm going to be a pain in your behind until the day I stop breathing. So thank you so very much. Thank you, the Monterrosa families. I love you. Thank you to all the families that have shown up. We are all in the same boat. I love you and thank you.
No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. The next performer is Rocky Rivera, who's an MC and performance artist from San Francisco. Rocky's music is a journey into the spiritual of resistance, blending social justice, feminism, and West Coast style hip hop into thought-provoking anthems with timeless appeal. Snakeskin is Rocky's first book, a collection of autobiographical essays that chronicle her journey to becoming an artist. Let's give it up for Rocky.
This one is dedicated to Sean. You were given a chance to acknowledge my greatness, benefit of the doubt, a part of your lateness. More than a feminist, more than a rapping activist with tits. More than a mommy, more than his wife, I'm more than a journalist. God stepping, I'm God stepping. See what they done did now? Told them if they pushed us too far, I would come out. Remind them that I'm holy. Hands up, don't shoot. If I can't breathe and you can't breathe and you rush me, then I rush you. They think they can bury us under the weight of our own oppression. What they didn't know is a tragedy comes with another blessing. And the fire inside of me only grows bigger with every injustice. Jesus wasn't the only one you crucified in public. I am the sound of a million marchers headed to City Hall. I am the one that you call when you question if there is a God at all. I don't care who you pray to. Patron saint, God step on these racists. Brown goddess with more pain. God stepping, I'm God stepping. See what they done did now. Told them they pushed us too far, I would come out. Bury me in a shallow grave. Next year I bear fruit. Eric Garner, Mike Brown, hands up, don't shoot. Bury me in a shallow grave. Next year I bear fruit. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, hands up, don't shoot. 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 The fight is not over. Just because George got convicted. The fight is still going. And every artist, everybody that makes music, you need to be writing about stuff like this. Otherwise, your music ain't relevant. Police. I see y'all out there. This is actually my first performance since COVID hit, and I'm so honored to share my energy and my music with the Monterrosa family, with the Angelo Quito family, with Mario Woods' family, with Oscar Grant's family, with all the families that are here suffering from police brutality. I wanted to, there was a special request to do a song that shouted out Sean Monterrosa, so I'm going to bring another Rocky on stage as well. His name is Rocky G. So he's going to do a requested verse from Diddy Bop that the sisters requested, so I'm going to just go ahead and back him up. Go ahead, Rocky.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. First of all, we out here, man. It's a community, right? We uplift each other. Thank y'all so much. Hey. Make some noise for the family of Sean Monterrosa one time. Yeah, I said, wear a fucking mask when you Diddy Bop. Fuck a Trump supporter, fuck a Fed, fuck a city cop. Grew up in a city where the children's popping 50 shots. So you in the streets, but we know that you really not. Riding in a bucket with my OG double Pistola. Justice for the family of Sean Monterrosa. 2020 showed us that we all gotta be soldiers. Media activism, black vision, massing the performance. This is how you practice what you learn in those courses. Gotta see it clearly, make your vision less distorted. How you bringing up these conversations with your family? Or disrespecting women makes you feel so manly? Your favorite DJ's getting canceled. And some of you put on support the system we dismantle. The barrel man and body and speech on this track. Spreading the message of reflection, please contextualize your past. Like, what we gotta do to make you listen? I said, what we gotta do to make you listen? Yo, what we gotta do to make you listen? What else we gotta do to make you fucking listen? Yo, what we gotta do to make you listen? I mean, what we gotta do to make you listen? Yo, what we gotta do to make you listen? I mean, what we gotta do to make you listen? Thank y'all so much for having me, y'all. Shout out to Rocky Rivera one time. Straight from SSF, straight from the city right here.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to lend my energy to the stage today. I am from San Francisco, California. I'm from the Excelsior District, which is right next door to Bernal Heights. And when I look at Sean's face, he reminds me of every person I ever went to school with. He reminds me of my cousins. He reminds me of everybody that I see when I'm on Mission Street. I just wanted to say that anything that y'all need, we got you. We love you. Peace. My name is Rocky Rivera. Shout out to DJ Rosa.
Let's give a round of applause for Rocky, everyone. Man, all day I'm like, I've been honored. It is such an honor to be here with all of you, and especially the next person that's coming up to speak. Elaine Brown is an American prison activist, writer, and singer. She was notably the former chairwoman, yes, chairwoman of the Black Panther Party. Elaine continues her prison reform advocacy today and fights for Black and Brown communities all around the country. Let's put our hands together for Elaine Brown.
All right now, let's say all power to the people. I'm sorry, you don't mean it, do you? You don't think we got power. All power to the people. All power to the people. That's right, and power to the Monterrosas. Yeah, I want to thank Michelle and Ashley for allowing me the opportunity to speak at this occasion today. And I want to just say firstly that Sean Monterrosa was my brother too. Was he your brother too? Yeah. I think he was all of our brother, my son, my brother, and he is gone too soon, as we know. The question is, how can we get justice for Sean, since we know it's impossible to resurrect him so that he might realize some of his dreams? We know that, don't we? So what do? We can't soothe the sorrow of Michelle and Ashley and Sean's family,
even if we cried a river of tears, because we crying a little too much more than fighting. We're going to talk about that in 1 minute. We can't redirect those 5 bullets that Vallejo pig Jarrett Tonn fired wildly through his truck's windshield, one of them hitting Sean in the back of the head, even as Sean was kneeling unarmed on the ground with his hands up, even as Sean was out protesting the murder of George Floyd. We can't pull back those bullets from pig Jarrett Tonn. And we can't keep on calling these people officers. We got to go back to some of the other language from back in the day. We call them pig because they're nasty and dirty. We cannot change the fact that the Vallejo Police Department did not even fire Pig Tonn for having shot 3 other people before he murdered Sean. And he's still not fired. How is that possible that he's still walking around the Vallejo Police Department? But by the way, nobody in the Vallejo Police Department has been fired in the last decade for the shooting of 32 people. Vallejo Police Department has the highest police shooting rate in Northern California. Now that's really something. Vallejo, what's wrong with us? Why are they still around? We can't undo the hiring of this black Negro Vallejo PD Chief Shawnee Williams. How did he get there? Who boldly stated that the police were investigating the looting at Walgreens. The looting at Walgreens is how Sean was killed. Looting has a death penalty, even if there had been some looting. The Vallejo police are now the Walgreens police. Whose police are they? To serve and protect the interests of Walgreens, or there to serve and protect the people? Obviously, something's wrong. We can't even reverse the decision of the Solano County DA, Krishna Abrams, to recuse herself from even investigating the police murder of Sean, and not counting the previous murder of Willie McCoy in 2019. She's still walking around being the DA. Is that right? Why are we out here all complacent when she's up there being the DA? We can't reverse what the former Attorney General, Javier Becerra, his refusal to even take over the case after Abrams refused to do anything. What kind of situation do we have here? So we have to ask ourselves, if we call it for justice, we can be out here whining and crying and stomping our feet, talking about how doggish these police are. But some of us have been saying this for the last 50 years. It's the same situation, only it's worse because we're gripped by fear. We don't want to really do anything but get mad and cry and stand around and rally. What are we going to do when this rally is over? The first thing we have to do is make sure that Jarrett Tonn is put to death. We have to make sure he's put to death. Put to death. Thank you. Somebody acknowledge the facts. What, are we all right when he's just walking around? I didn't say, I don't know how he's going to die, but he needs to die. That's the penalty for murder, you know? I'm not opposed to that penalty in this particular case. I don't care how it goes down. Now, somebody can say, oh my God, Elaine Brown got up there and said, call for the death of this pig. That's correct. You're absolutely correct. Now, what else can we do? Death to pig Jarrett Tonn. What else can we do? We got to put some pressure on the new California Attorney General Bonta, who says he's going to look into this case since nobody else has. You got to go up there to Sacramento. We got to keep pushing. Bonta will probably do something if he gets a little bit of pressure from here and there. Now, we have to get united and be in the face of Bonta every day. Let's roll on up to Sacramento every other week and say, where's the charge against Tom? What else can we do? We got to get rid of Krishna Abrams. How you going to sit there and let this woman be the district attorney? Over in Alameda County, we have a recall petition against Nancy O'Malley. Why? Because Nancy O'Malley has refused to prosecute the second pig that killed Oscar Grant. And Oscar Grant's mother, who is not here, is fighting right now, not for legislation, but for the pig to be brought to justice that killed her son. So we're recalling that racist Nancy O'Malley over in Alameda County. And if you live over there, we're going to be circulating petitions till we get enough. What's wrong with us? Why can't we get rid of the Vallejo DA? Why is she still there? So let's recall her ass too, okay? I got another one, another thought. We got to get rid of Shawnee. This Negro Shawnee Williams got to go. Let's get rid of Shawnee. I don't hear nobody act like you want to do nothing. You just want to go around and be all right, be mad, and stand out here and act like you came somewhere today, and that'll be the end of it. Shawnee got to go. Down with Shawnee. There you go. All right. I got another thought. The whole goddamn Vallejo Police Department, which is a murderous police department, needs to be put under receivership. Because I know you ain't gonna go down there with no firearms and act crazy. So let's just talk about the legal ways that you can handle this Vallejo Police Department, and that is receivership. Start finding out how you do it. Get a federal receiver. They need to be monitored. They need to be changed. They need to put together a little committee, a community committee, a police oversight. These are things you can do legally, and you can do it now. Ain't nobody stopping you. The only thing stopping us is fear. Because most of us are too scared to get in the way. When I think of George Floyd and I see all these people, somebody with a martial arts certificate or whatever he had, you stand there several feet away from George Floyd, you couldn't at least taken your phone and thrown it at that pig's head and stopped him from killing George Floyd. We can't keep on going around here and acting like we don't understand that. You know something can be done because we have the power of the people. There was more people out there with George Floyd than pigs. Nobody was shooting at George Floyd at that moment. Now, another thing we can do is take a look back in the days of the Black Panther Party, when we called for an end to police brutality and murder of black people and people of color and so forth. When we said, but we also said there's a way to begin to think about this, because we can't just keep on talking about justice for somebody after they get killed. We got to stop the killing. How do we do that? Maybe we need to patrol the police. Maybe we need to be in the street. All y'all standing around here look like you halfway bad, or you acting halfway bad. So if you're bad, let's get together. You don't have to do what the Black Panthers did and get them shotguns and things. Just go around here in your little cars and in your on foot and be observant of the police every time they're anywhere. We've got to patrol our own streets. We've got to patrol the police. You can do this. Don't be scared. You ain't gonna die but once, and Sean has already lost his life. We up here celebrating his life where we need to be, but it would be better if he were alive than if he were not alive. I would be happy if he lived to fight another day. I'm not here to call for justice and dog these pigs. I'd rather Sean Monterrosa be alive. So I'm going to finish up by saying we have the power to do all of what we want to do if we organize and commit ourselves. I am 78 years old. I've been fighting this fight for 50-some years. The fight continues. We can't stop. We can't rest until there's no more brutality and murder of black and brown and poor people, until there's revolutionary change. But for right now, we can go and get rid of this cop, get rid of the police chief, get rid of the DA, and move on using our power. So again, we have to say we have the power to the people, power to the people. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. We want to give it up one more time for Miss Elaine Brown. We're going to introduce the next family. We have the Stephon Clark family. We have the Alvin Cole family. We have the Antoine Maurice's family and Shane Sutherland's family.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
And if we don't get it, 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 I said if we don't get it, I said you can't stop the revolution. You can't stop the revolution. I'm here for the life and legacy of my brother who was assassinated in my grandmother's backyard in a matter of 22.2 seconds. His name is Stefan Alonzo Clark. He should be alive today. The officers claim they mistaken his cell phone for a gun. They claim they feared for their lives. The officers who fired over 20 shots at my unarmed brother still patrol the streets of Sacramento today. The district attorney, crooked-ass Carol Anne-Marie Baskin Schubert, is now running for attorney general, and will be damned if she gets that seat. Not only that, not only did the district attorney fail, the attorney general failed, a lot of the community failed. Because instead of getting together and organizing and mobilizing and centralizing and strategizing and plotting and planning and coming up with actionable items, we all protested and did nothing after the protest. Nothing. That's why we say passion without direction is chaos. And passion with direction is purpose. What do you do after? What are your actionable items after you protest? Well, for starters, Stefan Clark Law, AB 392, changes the use of deadly force from reasonable to necessary. A law that hasn't been updated since 1872. Another actionable item, what we created in Sacramento called Stefan's House, a 24-hour museum, library, rec, and resource center. So kids got somewhere to go when they can't go to grandma's house. We have a 6-point program we believe can help when it comes to making sure something like what my brother situation was never happen again. That's number one, bridge the gap between law enforcement and at-risk communities by having the dialogue. But before we go ahead and bridge the gap between them, we have to bridge the gap between community and community. We as a people have to get together. If they can't solve out our problems, we start our own de-escalation tactical teams. We start our own restoration teams. We start our own community mobilizing networks. Number two is to inform and educate on policy and legislative change, which is legacy on paper. You look at Stefan Clark Law, the reason it's so important because it's legacy on paper. Number three is big. It's to provide resources and healing spaces for those that need in our community. I believe you give a man a fish, he eat for a day. But if you teach a man a fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. Our babies didn't know about labor, trade, industrial programs, STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Our kids get to get out there and not own businesses, be socialpreneurs and entrepreneurs, not work as a 9-to-5 job and being a corporate slave. Number four is, I believe, commemorate the life and legacy of my brother, Stefan Clark, George Floyd, Dante Wright, Breonna Taylor, Marshall Miles, Oscar Grant. Commemorate their lives in a positive light. A positive light, to make sure their names live on for generations and generations and generations and generations, long after you and I have left this earth. Number five, I don't know all the answers. I need your help. Number five is to receive recommendations from you, the people, on how to prevent Sean Monterrosa's, Stefan Clark's, Trevor Seaver's from ever happening again. And number six, the golden rule. John 15:12 says, love each other as I have loved you. If you skip down to John 15:18, it says, if the world hates you, know they hated me long before they ever hated you. So our golden rule is spread the gospel of love. Everybody love everybody. Stefan Clark. Stefan Clark. Sean Monterrosa. Sean Monterrosa.
I just want to say one quick thing. I am Mama Clark. I'm the mother of Stefan Clark, and I'm his mama too. And so I want to invite every mother to become a yayo with me to identify who we are and the loss that we've experienced. We have experienced the loss of a child, which brings us to a traumatic state of grief. I have a healing session every Monday at 10 a.m.
together with me and other mothers as we go through this new normal of our lives. I want to thank the Monterrosa family. Where they at? Michelle? Hey, baby. Ashley, I want to thank them for bringing everyone together. This is powerful. This is needed. This is how you take all of these different families and you combine and you make that fit that gets it done. So thank you for your vision. Thank you for inviting us. Power to the people. Power to the people.
Once again, humbled. Mi familia, amor de Monterrosa, familia, from my heart. I learned that yesterday communicating with their mother. You gap, there's no gap. We family. I'm Stephanie Hatton. This is what's left of the family of Antoine Barish, who was ambushed and murdered. 3 guns on him, shot in every place of his body with his hands up. I am here today so humbled to be amongst all of you. His sisters kept saying yesterday, some of you don't know Sean, you don't know Sean. The hell if I don't. Look at the company he keeps. Just look at what's around you. This is a family of healing, giving, the list just goes on. So to say you don't know Sean Monterrosa, just look around. Look who is caring for Sean's family. Look who is reaching out to embrace us all. You can judge a man by his character, and as I stand amongst all of you, I know that young man had a damn good character. I come from Stockton, California. No one represents us except for this stage right here. We want to be on the map. I believe what Attorney Lee Merritt said is we didn't consent. We did not consent for you police in Stockton, California to shoot our children. And that's going to be my slogan. I will introduce Boulder Bridges, BB, breaking brutality, and I'm going to add that. You do not have our consent. These lives are valuable, and it's really outrageous that we have to meet on a platform to seek accountability, because where I come from, it ain't no justice once you stop somebody from breathing. But accountability will be my goal in this organization that I've established on behalf of my son. I have nothing but respect for this platform. I've been to college many years, and what I've learned in this last few months, I was at the wrong college, because I've learned so much and have been given so much that me and my family are going forward into saving your family, because you are not going to kill our grandchildren. You're not going to kill our nephews. We going to shut you down with our last breaths. So I come today on behalf of Antoine Barish's family to tell everybody that we are now in a life sentence, and it is never going to stop. You do not have consent. You do not have consent. You do not have consent. Sean Monterrosa. Sean Monterrosa. Thank you.
I want to thank the Monterrosa family for having us here today. I want to thank everybody here for listening to us and being a support system. We're the family of Shane Sutherland. And Shane was killed by 2 Stockton PD officers on October 8th of 2020. For approximately 3 minutes, they were sitting on him with the arm into his neck while he was telling them over and over, "I can't breathe." They continued to ignore him, and they killed my son. They destroyed our family, just like they've destroyed so many families. Look at these pictures. This is just a needle in the haystack. Changes need to be made in this country. And me and my family, we don't consent either. We'll never consent to this. And we're not going to stop fighting. We don't just fight for Shane Sutherland. We're fighting for everybody. We're fighting for all these lives that were lost. I'm fighting for my other children and my grandchildren, your children and your grandchildren. We don't consent. Stop ignoring our children. Stop killing us. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tracy Cole, and I am from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Woo! We came all the way from Milwaukee, Wisconsin to basically put our story out here and stand for the Sean Monterrosa family. So basically, I would try to make it short but brief. My son, Alvin Cole, he was killed February the 2nd, 2020. He was only he just turned 17. He died like three weeks after his birthday. Basically, my son was going to the mall to buy his girlfriend a bracelet for Valentine's Day. He told me, "Mom, what you cooking?" Because he loves to eat. And he was like, "Mom, what you cooking?" I said, "I'm making nachos." Bet, I'll be there. You know, he's a kid. So, next thing you know, I see breaking news on the news said a grown man was shot at Mayfair Mall. And I'm not thinking like a grown man killed at Mayfair Mall. That's not my son. Next thing you know, time was going past. And I told my husband we need to get out and see if this was Alvin because he wasn't answering his phone or texting. Because I'm the type of parent would be like, "Son, when you coming home?" And he'll be like, "Mama, quit blowing up my phone if I block you." You know, that's a kid for you. You know. So we went down there to Vallejo Police Department to see if that was my son that got shot at Mayfair Mall. We had 2 detectives came and said that they couldn't give us no information. This happened around 6:00 p.m. And we went to the police department around 9:00. So after when they gonna tell us we'll call you back in 15 minutes, never called us back. Today they never called. So after that, something say, go to the crime scene. Went to the crime scene where allegedly, we still don't know if that was my son or not. All we know that when we got to the crime scene, that was around 10:00. It was nothing but Vallejo Police Department around. In the city of Wisconsin, if a cop killed someone, the city over supposed to come and take over. But no Milwaukee cops was there. It was all Vallejo cops. So we asked them, "Can you tell us who was the person that got shot here?" And the lady told us she couldn't tell us. So in my, mother's intuition, say, Tracy, go to Milwaukee ME. Went to the Milwaukee ME. So basically, I was a funeral director, and I'm used to dealing with death, but not my child.
I run the doorbell around 10:30, and I ask, do you have a young boy by the name of Alvin Cole? And I describe how you look. And then she said, she paused for a minute and she looked and she said, is you Tracy Cole? My heart just stopped, because I would never thought that could be me. She said, come on in. I came on in through the door, me and my husband. And the first person said to me was the medical examiner said, Ms. Cole, I'm sorry for your loss. That was the only time that someone from, the medical examiner or the Milwaukee Police Department or Vallejo Police Department ever said my deepest condolences. So she showed my husband a picture of our son. And my husband was like, no, this can't be him, and it was my son. After that, our hearts are like completely changed. My husband, and see, people think that because your kid, you are black, you from a broken home, but I'm here to say that me and my husband been married for 28 years. All my kids graduated from college. My youngest daughter graduated from Jackson State University for criminal law. My other kids graduated from college. And so, and today my husband is grieving. He can't come out here and protest because he's hurt. When you lose a child, a mother loses a child, she lost a part of her. So basically, when all this stuff was going on, we had to find out 5 months later that the cop that killed my son, he killed two other people besides my son. My son was the third person that this cop killed within 5 years. He killed Antonio Gonzalez. He shot him 8 times. Jay Anderson, 11 months later, he shot this man 5 times in the head and 1 in the shoulder by his partner. And then when my son Alvin Cole that was shot in the back, and he was surrendered in a 6-point stand, that's when you on your hands and your knees and your toes pointing to the ground. And this cop today, he's an African American guy. In my book, I don't care what race you is, you are a killer. You killed 3 people of color within 5 years. This man, nothing today happened to him. He got promoted to become sheriff in a different county. I don't see the justice. They said that the chief of police of Vallejo basically gave him a commendation and basically tell him, saying that he's a good worker, he can go and work here. But we shut things down in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We shut down Mayfair Mall. They lost money. We shut down everything in Wisconsin. We changed laws. Vallejo didn't have body cameras, but now they do. We changed those laws. We changed everything. The chokehold. Well, we changed a lot of things. And the People Revolution, have been marching for us over a year. They've been out here marching for our family. And then when we wound up getting the news, this is gonna be short. When we found out the verdict for my son, October the 8th, we went out the next day to protest. And that day changed my life forever, because I'm the only mother that ever got beat up. I was beat up by the police. My daughter was thrown out the car, gun to her head. And then my other daughter, she got dragged out the car and they hurt her too. And then my other daughter, she got drugged. She just had a baby. And they drugged her out the car and arrested these 2. And then with me, They dragged me out the car by my hair, and then they beat me in the head with Billy Club, and then they tased me in my arm, and they telling me stop resisting. And then they tossed me onto the ground and twisted my arm, and I had to be hospitalized. I had a big knot on my head. I had 2 black eyes, and my arm was in the splint. And they gave me 2 tickets, one for $1,300 and one for $600. Today we are getting targeted. My family is. We get police following us. Our phones are being tapped. But y'all can afford to do all this extra stuff to us, but y'all ain't doing nothing to this cop killer. And we are fighting still today. Because I will not sleep, I will not rest until we get justice for my son. Say his name, Alvin Cole. Say his name, Alvin Cole. Say his name, Alvin Cole. Say Jay Anderson. Jay Anderson. Jay Anderson. Jay Anderson. Antonio Gonzalez. Antonio Gonzalez. Antonio Gonzalez. Antonio Gonzalez. And no justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No racist. No peace. Thank you.
No justice, no peace. I want to also shout out the United Players. I see y'all. San Francisco Bay Area in the house. I want to just point out the fact that you have heard from Latino families, Black families, white families. You're about to hear from an API family. Police killings don't discriminate. And so let's make sure that we continue to show up. We are so grateful that you are bearing with us and listening to the stories of these families because it's important. Whether it's in New York City, Wauwatosa, San Francisco, Vallejo, LA, Texas, it happens. And we need all the support that we can. So we're gonna have Jasmine introduce the next families. Thank you. The next 2 families we have is the Angelo Quinto family coming all the way from Antioch, California. We also have Trevor Seaver's family, Kyle Seaver, who's coming all the way from Modesto, California. Make some more noise, y'all. Come on, we're almost done. We're almost here. We thank everybody who's been here. Give yourself a round of applause. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Angelo Quinto family. The Seaver family, thank you.
How y'all doing? My name's Kyle Seaver. My older brother, Trevor Seaver, is 29 years old. December 29th, 2020, Modesto, California. He was killed by an officer named Joseph Lamatia. Joseph Lamatia has been on the force for 12 years. My brother was the 5th person that Joseph Lamatia had murdered. My brother was the 4th person unarmed that Joseph Lamatia had murdered. Joseph Lamatia had also shot a 6th person in his 12 years in the force. He also killed 3 people in 2016 alone. He also killed 2 people within 3 weeks. On the day that my brother was murdered, he was having a mental breakdown. He informed my mom and sister that he needed someone to call the police to come help him. Upon calling the police, my brother was at a church nearby my mom's house. My brother was hanging out on a bench when Joseph Lamatia arrived on the scene. Joseph Lamatia, while arriving on the scene, had his gun in his right hand, ready to shoot. Before assessing the situation, he pulled into the church parking lot and had full visibility to my brother. Instead of parking his car, turning on his sirens or lights, Joseph Lamatia decided to drive his car around the corner, where there was no visibility to my brother. Upon parking his car, Joseph Lamatia had his gun in his right hand. He had to put his car in park with his left hand because he didn't want to take his gun out of his hand. He had already decided what he was going to do. He was going to ambush my brother. My brother was sitting at a bench at a church when Joseph LaMattia tried to manipulate the body cam when he parked his car and got out in a full sprint as if he seen my brother sprinting. The truth of the matter is, he had no visibility to my brother, and he was ambushing him. When Joseph LaMattia parked his car, within 9 seconds, he got out and ran. Never identified my brother, never identified himself. He said, get down, and fired 4 shots from 150 feet. Joseph LaMattia could never identify my brother, and just decided to start shooting. He shot 4 rounds. One of them hit my brother in the chest. My brother then got on his hands and knees, pleading that he did not have a weapon. With his hands in the air, Joseph LaMattia ran closer, got within 50 feet, and with my brother's hands in the air, he shot 3 more shots, executing my brother midday at a church for no reason. After he had fired 7 shots at my brother, hitting him 3 in the chest, they did not give my brother any medical help. They instead put handcuffs on my brother. With 5 or 6 officers standing around him, they proceeded not to give him medical help. Instead, the man that shot my brother finally realized he had to give my brother medical help. Just like every other family that's came up here and spoke, these cops have murdered previous times. And due to us not holding these officers accountable, we lose our loved ones. So we all have to stand up and fight and take accountability. We all have to bring changes. After my brother was murdered, they interrogated my mom as if we were the criminals. They put out slander and lies on my brother, making it seem like he was a bad person and that's why they murdered him. And it's something that all of us families see. And we aren't going to stand up for it anymore. We aren't going to let the police come and murder our family members for no reason and treat us like the criminals when they're the criminals. They're the terrorists. They're the ones killing us for no reason. So I want to thank the Monterrosa family for allowing me to be here today and speak and tell Trevor's story. April 24th, 2021 would have been Sean's 23rd birthday. It also would have been my brother's 30th birthday. So I know how hard it is to go through these holidays, to go through these birthdays without our loved ones. And I'm very thankful for the whole Monterrosa family because I know that they support me. And I know that if I need anything, I can reach out to them, just like all these other families that are here and that I've met. So I just want to thank everybody. If you do want to follow me on Instagram, it's _justice4Trevor. Joseph LaMattia is getting charged with voluntary manslaughter with a firearm. He goes in court in 2 weeks, faces 17 years in prison, which is not enough. Not enough. 17 years for murdering 5 civilians, 4 unarmed. It's not right. Our system is not right. And thank you, Mama Clark and Stephante, for everything that y'all have done. AB 392 is being used in my brother's case as well. So I can't thank y'all enough for the work y'all have done. No justice?
No peace.
No justice?
No peace.
What do we do when our community's under attack? What do we do when our community's under attack?
Fight back.
Thank you, guys.
Hello, I'm Bella, this is Cassandra. We're here today because Sean Monterrosa is not. And we're so grateful to your family for inspiring us to work just as hard as you do. My brother's name is Angelo Quinto. You probably cannot see this. We are also a pretty recent story, December. And this just hasn't stopped even in 2021. But on December 23rd of 2020, my brother was experiencing a mental health crisis, like many other people we see who become victims. And by the time that the police had arrived at our house, my mom had calmed him down a little bit. She was restraining him in a bear hug on the floor. But they took him and put him on his stomach. And he said, "Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me." Because his two greatest fears were death and the police. Unfortunately, they converged that night. They put him on his stomach, they handcuffed him, crossed his legs and pushed them against his butt and kneeled on the back of his neck. So this was not a shooting, it was another knee to the neck. And it was in front of my mom in our room. And during the last 4.5, well, first I should say one of the officers got tired of kneeling on him and another one replaced him in the same position. The last 4.5 minutes of this restraint, my brother was unresponsive. My mom asked if he was asleep, and the officers probably addressed him with two idle questions like, "Angelo, are you going to do this or do this?" Did not address his lack of response. But
they also said that this is the technique that they do to calm them down.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, eventually, after a while of being completely unresponsive, the ambulance had arrived because this was an acknowledged mental health crisis. And they flipped him over, and he did not look, he looked dead. Mom says that all the time. She watched, like I said, the entire time. And after this, there was a felony search warrant. Suddenly, he had done something wrong. Why did all of our families do something wrong to get killed? That's just the narrative. Sorry, they didn't. Nobody deserved that execution or. Sorry. And we were questioned for maybe 5 hours, or maybe 3 hours, but we were in the police station for 5, and they searched his room for 9. And we have gotten very little information or action from them, and no accountability. We have been met with people denying what the witness said about what happened that night. Well, the truth. And it's just, sorry, I'm still new to this. There's so much to do and so many small things that we can do, and obviously there have been small things that we've been doing over the years, the decades, and still, we have this majorly publicized event, the killing of George Floyd, and yet we've convicted one of the officers, and nothing else has really changed very much. But one thing that we've just been trying to do in in this time is push for legislation to be passed, just like every one of the family members here. One of the things we're working with Assemblymember Mike Gibson on AB 490, which bans restraints that can lead to positional asphyxia, like the knee to neck restraint used on my brother. It passed the assembly.
You know, it will pass so that no other families will go through what we are going through. You know, our kids are not here anymore, but we are their voices. Your brother's not here, but you are his voice. So,
Through our Angela's voice.
thank you.
We're really taking your lead.
Yes.
Really, you guys have been so inspiring. This is really hard.
It is. Sorry.
And they're look what they put together.
Say his name, Angelo Quinto. Say his name, Angelo Quinto. Say his name, Trevor Sieber. Say his name, Trevor Sieber. Thank you. You know, I've been working in this field for 25 years and working on stopping police brutality for the last 10 to 12. And today was hard for me. So many families out here without justice. One police officer is not enough. We need all of them convicted and fired. All of them. There are thousands of people that get killed at the hands of police every single year. Every single year. There's policies that you could push here in the state of California. There's so much work that needs to be done, and we need all of you. All of you. There's a lane for you. You know, if you got music, you saw here they brought it to the cause. If you out here selling water, bring that to the cause. All of it. We need all of you. But one officer should not shut us up. Not one. Yeah, I just can't. That right there, listening to all the families, you know, I've been walking around. I pace because I'm not trying to break down. It's hard. This work is hard. These families need us. They need us to encourage them, to support them, to wrap our arms around them, to fight for legislation. You got access to legislators? Talk to them. You got access to judges? Talk to them. I know my family members aren't judges, but maybe you got a judge family member. You got a district attorney. Let's prosecute these police officers. Let's get them fired. You heard from Alvin Cole's family. That police officer had 3 bodies on him. That's unacceptable. No police officer should be allowed, after they kill somebody, to go back out there. They should be decertified. If you complain about a nail salon or a barber, they get decertified. So why are police officers continuing to show up with badges and guns after they kill? Something's got to change, and we could make that change. Let's do it. Y'all can do better. I know y'all can do better than that. We thank everybody who stayed with us this long. We are coming to our last and final performance. We're really excited for this. This was a special one, y'all. This group and team and organization of 12 has been rocking with the Monterrosa family since the beginning of this, with the Mario Woods family. It's been organizing up and down San Francisco. This is their hometown, born and raised in the San Francisco city. I'm honored
and some closing regards from the Monterrosa family. So thank you.
Right on. Heard F12 organization, Black and Brown led in San Francisco, shooting for accountability, police accountability. So we're on the ground. This is my brother Dogtown Dro. I go by Equipto, and we're definitely here in solidarity with every family that has suffered through police abuse. And you know what I mean? So that's what we're here for, to be in solidarity and partnership and give a bit of little liveliness with some music. Is y'all ready for that? Yeah. Hold on, no. That sounds like Gentrify Frisco. Is y'all ready for that? Yeah. All right, this one right here is called F12. Let's get it going. Let's turn it up like a show, for real. Hey, there we go. Get it out. So we know F12 is the attitude. It's fuck the police. That's the attitude we have to keep up. Defund the police is the strategy, right? And to abolish the police is the goal. Yeah, Dogtown.
Black moms gotta wonder if the kid love is here. They come up to make my dinner time. Check. She ain't concerned whether he did it from. She text me, where you at? Didn't get replied. She hearing sirens whistle by a park and get a ticket to a pit inside. She had a feeling that this isn't right. All she remembers was his kiss goodbye. Boy, he hitched a ride with his nigga shot. Police seen him and they raped him in their pistols high. Apparently mistaken for a different guy. He panicked, different slides. I'm wishing that his kids had he tripped in 5 shots. He was ripped his spine. She sat beside the other victim moms. Wish she cried, they could press rewind. The pigs are lying. Their stories wasn't charged for their implicit bias. They have connected ties and no one slides across the picket line. See that good cop missing lies. Cause everyone is sitting by too afraid of getting lies. Victims.
While the judge just sitting live.
No convictions, none. Not even a pension fine. But maybe pay suspension time just for my niggas' mom. And blood if you was sick as down, yeah, fuck 12. Set this bitch on fire. Fuck 12 and anybody that don't love it. I don't care if it's your daddy or your brother, nigga.
This is for the families who suffered all the tragedies and casualties for nothing, mother. Fuck 12. And it's ACAB into the fucking grave that they laid me. This is how the whole USA be that made me this decade. One love to a meal card who got caught up in the real war. If it ain't justice you kill for, I ain't trying to hear y'all. If you ain't riding for Rihanna or heed the call from Mario's mama, I'ma roll till they kill me. It is what it will be. Until they drop and all cops guilty. Ain't hearing what you hollering, your liberal consciousness. It's not defund, we talking abolishment. The politicians feel duck when we ride through. It's fuck Trump, it's also fuck Biden too. The revolution is the answer. Reclaim your masters. All cops are bastards, kill all fascists. We ain't gonna wonder when is it enough. Budget's $1 billion plus just for killing us. Shit. If it's cops, then it's fuck 'em. Your brother or your uncle or your dad or your cousin. There's no discussion. Fuck 12, anybody that love it, I don't care if it's your daddy or your brother, nigga. Fuck, this is for the families who suffered all the tragedies and casualties for nothing, mother. Fuck 12, then it's ACAB into the fucking grave that they laid me. This is how the whole USA be that made me this angry and crazy.
And that's on mine. I've been on this hype for a long time. I've been on the fight when it's wartime. I've been on the right. Hard rounds of light C4 bombs. Turn a pig into pork rinds. Nigga, fuck all cops. Fuck you if you call cops. Fuck your friends that support cops. Nigga, till my heart stops and they free my niggas in that large box.
What's that?
I hope they all up from smallpox. Nigga, fuck 12.
This is for the families who suffered in the tragedies and casualties for nothing, motherfucker.
For the families that suffered in the
Tragedies and casualties for nothing, motherfucker. And it's ACAB until the fucking grave that they laid me. This is how the whole USA be that made me this angry and crazy. Let's understand, we after abolishment, right? We got to get the police out of here. I want to bring up something about the brother Walter Scott that got murdered in North Charleston, South Carolina, and the DA had charged this killer cop. He's doing 20 years in this video for that shit. So there's no excuse. We need to push the line in San Francisco. We need to push the line to make history. They haven't charged the cop yet, then we need to push the limits. We need to organize and have actions. So that's why we need to follow the 3 demands that's going on. I'm going to go with my phone because my memory is shit. Mama Wood said so, another beat. Fuck 12. Let me hear y'all say fuck the police. Fuck the police. Fuck the police. Fuck the police. Come on. Fuck the police. Fuck the police. Fuck the police. Fuck the police. Talk to her. All right, check this out. These are the three demands. Fire, arrest, and charge Officer Jarrett Tonn, whatever his fucking last name is. Second one is investigate every Vallejo Police Department officer involved in the destruction of the evidence in the case, right? Okay? The third one, investigate and monitor the Vallejo Police Department's use of force. So this is on the community to make this happen. That shit that happened to Walter Scott, that didn't happen because they decided to fucking do it. There's no politician that ever did anything without pressure from the people on the ground that are willing to sacrifice their health, their safety, in order to find justice, some accountability. It's not the motherfucking answer, but this is how we make progress. People before us have fought and got this, like these laws passed, certain policies passed and shit. We all know that's just the goddamn Band-Aid. We need to bring more momentum for the future generations. If we're not going to see justice, I'm damn sure someone in my family, in our generation, is going to see justice in San Francisco and beyond. So take care of your motherfucking region. Real solidarity and partnership with everyone else that's going through struggles and understand what it takes. Because this is all connected, we're all connected. And believe it or not, we're all connected to third world liberation as well. What's going on overseas in Palestine, in Venezuela, in the Congo, in Africa, everywhere. Police learn these tactics from the IDF and all the military. This is what they want the so-called what is now known as the United States to be. You understand that? So we are in solidarity with our indigenous folks. They're here, they've been here, they're not gone. You know, they talk about native indigenous folks like they're not longer here and shit. That's the problem right there. That's the problem. We have to acknowledge and understand we have a connection to them. They have a connection to the goddamn, the land. You understand that? And when you have connection to your land, authentic connection to your land, then you're ready to die for some shit. Believe that. That's what we're missing. That's why you wonder why gangbangers are ready to die for something. They're ready to die for their block. You wonder why? Because they have love. They're received. You understand? They're received by communities and they understand it might not be the right tactics and the right way to go about it, but that's camaraderie. That's solidarity. And that's when you find out you're accepted and you find belonging to something, you're willing to die for that shit. That's what it's about. Malcolm X said, take that word freedom out your vocabulary if you ain't ready to die for that shit. I know all of us in here need to walk with Malcolm and walk with that type of attitude. Fuck the police forever, y'all. Everybody that's not out here from San Francisco Bay Area, we welcome y'all. We welcome y'all with open arms every motherfucking time. Anytime y'all got to struggle to fight, we are with y'all.
So London breathe, fire Charles August before that nigga get killed out here. Fire Charles August.
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 London, we talking to you. London Breed, we talking to you. You hear us?
We
Fire
want
Charles
accountability.
August.
Charles August, Winston Seto, Nicholas Cuevas, all those names. Let's get familiar with those names. I know we don't want to know about them. We want to bring our ancestors up and those that passed away, but we need to do some studying. We need to research what these police, how much their salary is, what their budget is, where their fucking address is, all that shit, and bring pressure. The pressure comes from the bottom. So fire Charles August. Fire Charles August. Fire Charles August.
Fire Charles August.
Fire Charles August.
Fire Charles August.
Fire Charles August.
Fire Charles August.
He led the murder, the execution on Mario Woods. Please keep in mind, London Breed is a black woman, a powerful black woman. We have the chief of police, he's a powerful black man. We need to see this shit through a political lens. Identity politics is killing this motherfucking city. So we need to get together and do research and understand what imperialism is, what colonialism is, what capitalism is. Because they embody all that shit. They can say fuck the police on the stage, but where are they at? Where the fuck are they at right now? They might say, yeah, justice for Sean Monterrosa, but where the fuck are they at? Why? Because it's election? It's election time right now? Everybody wants to be popular? I'm going on a rant. I'm sorry. I apologize. Justice for Toucan. Justice for Toucan. Justice for Toucan. Justice for Toucan. One love, y'all.
One love.
Let's give it has a $10 billion budget a year. $10 billion. Just think about that. How many of you are teachers? Raise your hand. God bless y'all. Thank you for teaching our children. But we ain't got a budget like the NYPD, you know what I'm saying? So we got to do, like our brother said, we got to do our research. We want to thank all the families. So just repeat after me. We want justice for Mario Woods' family.
Justice for Mario Woods' family.
Justice for Oscar Grant.
Justice for Oscar Grant.
Justice for Stephen Taylor.
Justice for Stephen Taylor.
Justice for Stephon Clark.
Justice for Stephon Clark.
Justice for Alvin Cole.
Justice for Alvin Cole.
Justice for Antoine Barris.
Justice for Antoine Barris.
Justice for Angelo Quinto.
Justice for Angelo Quinto.
Justice for Megan Hockaday.
Justice for Megan Hockaday.
When I say justice, you shout a name. Justice. Justice for. Justice for.
Antoine Barris.
Justice for.
Sean Monterrosa.
Justice for. Justice for.
Oscar Grant.
Justice for Sean Monterrosa.
Justice for Sean Monterrosa.
We're going to bring up Jasmine to give the thank you.
Give it up for yourselves one more time. Show some love to all the families who are here today. Y'all can do better. Come on, this is the last one. That's right. We want to thank all the partners who made Toucan's Weekend possible. By doing that, we want to acknowledge the host organizations who's been supporting the Monterrosa family to bring up, to do Toucan's Weekend. We want to acknowledge the Gathering for Justice in Justice League, California. We want to acknowledge Communities United for Restorative Youth Justice, Courage. We want to thank crime survivors for safety and justice. We want to thank the Grassroots Law Project. We want to thank the SF Black Wall Street. We also want to acknowledge all of our community-based organizations, all from San Francisco and across the state, who've also made this possible. And individuals who are unnamed and named who have done tremendous work, who are our angels, who pull things together. And like Carmen always says, we make rice. We make what? We make what? Miracles happen with rice and beans. And when we call for support to make Toucan's Weekend happen, the community showed up. The community gave an answer to the call when the sister said, support Toucan's Weekend. So make some noise for everybody who made that happen. We also want to thank all the volunteers, all our volunteers who are in the yellows. Please show them some love. We want to thank our production team and the hard workers and labor workers and union workers who came out early this morning at 7 a.m. to set this up. Make some noise. We want to thank the Social Justice Lowriders Club and Food for also making this happen. Show some love. Lowriders for Justice Coalition. We want to thank California LULAC, CCSF, San Francisco, Collective for Sean, Community Inc., Ella Baker Center, Homie, United Players, Us for Us, Vessels of Vallejo, Urban Peace Movement, and all of the partners who contributed to both events on Saturday and Sunday. Last thing before I close, and Carmen will close with more as well as the family, is that how many of you all have a phone? That's right. If everyone can pull out their phone, I want you all to pull out your phone and go to the text message box to continue to support the Monterrosa family and to stay in touch. We ask you to text number 44321. Again, 44321 text, you're going to include Toucans Weekend. T-U-C-A-N Weekend, one word, W-E-E-K-E-N-D. And press send. And when you got that, say, I got that. Oh, I only heard 2 people. Okay. Y'all text that number. If you press send, say, I did that. I did that. I did that. Did that. Did that. Did that. Did that. Did that. All right. Make sure you all sign up to the Sisters Listserv so that you all can stay engaged and active throughout the years as we continue to fight for justice. And this is a long marathon, so continue to join us on this movement. And I'm gonna ask.
I also want to thank all the family members in our lives that allow us to show up our full selves, and all the mamas, the daddies, the sisters, the cousins, the uncles, the husband, everybody who allows us to show up, and all the arms that hold our babies that allow us to do this type of work. Thank you. With the last remarks from the family. Let's give a round of applause. How we feeling? I hope nobody got sunburned. If y'all did, my apologies ahead of time. Thank y'all for being patient and listening to all the families. Most of the time, these families don't always have an opportunity to speak, so just thank you all for listening and uplifting their names with us. We just can't thank you all enough. You guys have been supporting us for a year now, and we understand that it's a marathon, and this is not a fight for the weak, so we just love you all, and we're super grateful. Mommy, ¿quieres decir algo?
Solamente gracias y amor para todos por la presencia de cada uno de ustedes en todas las áreas que hayan soportado a nuestra familia. Gracias, amor para todos.
I say thank you so much for everybody to come here for support of all the families for the Bay Area, and thank you for being here.
One last thing. I want to really shout out our team, though. Y'all really came through, because y'all know we say this all the time. We couldn't do any of this without y'all and molding us and helping us in this fight, but also giving us the voice and the platform. And Sean, I know he's looking down to his Frisco City and is happy to see y'all continuously showing up for him. So I just want to say thank you, and I hope everyone leaves tonight with a seed planted in them. And like Carmen always says, there's a lane for everybody. So it's time for y'all to go home, rest, but get back to work tomorrow and figure out where you're going to plug yourself into and what lane is for you. But also, Jeff said, people get in a lane and they stay stagnant. It's about moving. So keep moving, keep pushing. This fight's a lifelong fight, but thank you all, and yeah, God bless y'all.
Say Sean Monterrosa, say his name. Sean Monterrosa. Say his name. Say his name. Blessings, everyone. Get home safely, and make sure you follow Justice for Sean on Instagram, Twitter. Follow the gathering also at Gather for Justice. We thank everybody for coming out, and please be safe. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you for joining Toucans Weekend. If we can have the volunteers join us in the front right here.